are people in the apartments at Universal Studios Hollywood. Yep. They're there. Really cool. That's the Universal Plaza Tower at Universal Studios Hollywood. Yep. We're going into the Walking Dead attraction at Universal Studios Hollywood. Alright, let's go. We're in the Walking Dead attraction. Troy, can you hold on my arm?
It's okay.
I don't want to get spooked by those zombies. Okay, here I come. We're in the Walking Dead attraction, everybody. I'm going to try to conquer my fear on this thing. I remember seeing that. Don't open dead. Troy, can you hold on to my arm? I can barely see anything.
That happened too.
We're going into the Walking Dead attraction, everybody.
This is going to be your last day on Earth.
Sean, it's fine. There's nothing you see.
I know, I just need to hold on to you all the way through so I can get through the darkness. You know, I can't see in the dark very well.
You want to stay with us? You need to leave.
Can I hold on to your arm the whole time?
Because I'm already holding one.
Huh?
No, Sean's recording and he's hanging on to my arm. Just hang on to it.
Sir, Troy, let me take it. Let me take it. Here, just put it in this pocket right here. Right here, right here. No. Oh, right here, Troy. Does the straw bend down? Troy, I need to hold on to your arm. I really need your help. I need your help guiding me through this. I can't do this alone. It's gonna be dark in there, guys, so I'm gonna try.
Sean, no cell phones.
Huh?
It's, I don't know if they're live recording or not.
Let's find out.
Oh, it is freezing. I would love to work here.
That's pretty sick. I love this.
Makes me can't wait for Halloween.
You know, guys, this is gonna be my first time in the Walking Dead attraction, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a little freaked out about this, so I'll be right back. We're at the Despicable Me Minion Mayhem ride. It's gonna be good in here. Yep. I'll be right back.
Got it. He can't even start. Thank you. Are you recording?
Yeah. It's true. It's weird how much he actually looks like him. Excuse me.
What is right next to each other? All right, let's do that. Man, we're like doing pretty good. Have you seen them lately? Not recently, but like they're gonna be here pretty soon. That's right. We just have to Oh, that's right. Yeah, that sounds good to me. We're good.
Oh, video camera.
Hi everybody, I'm here to Scooby-Doo and Shaggy. Alright, thank you. Alright, let's go. We're entering the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios Hollywood. There's Hogwarts Castle over there, where Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey is at. There's the train from one of the Harry Potter movies. Haven't seen the recent Harry Potter movies, but it looks really good. Troy, come here. Troy, doesn't this look like the Harry Potter worlds in the movies? Yeah. Hey, look, butterbeer. Excuse me. Wow, that's really cool. That's really good too. Harry Potter and the gang must have done a really good job making this in Universal Studios. Yep. They have a lot of good shops, restaurants, and everything here. And they also have the two attractions here. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey and Flight of the Hippogriff attraction. Yep, we're gonna try those out in just a few minutes. Alright, I'll be back everybody. Bye. We're going on Flight of the Hippogriff at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios. Alright, I'll be right back. Hi everybody, it's Sean Murray. I just want to say, I just want to tell you something that I forgot to tell you. Before we went to the Water World, a live SeaWorld Spectacular show here at Universal Studios Hollywood, we had churros and Diet Coke while we were watching the show, and yeah, it was really delicious, and our churros tasted like cinnamon, and Diet Coke tastes really good. It was in a souvenir cup. And right now we're about to go on Flight of the Hippogriff at Harry Potter Wizarding World, and we're gonna go on that Flight of the Hippogriff. Okay, I'll be right back, everybody. Okay, see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the Grandma and Grandpa named Mary. Okay, bye. Sorry everybody, I tried to videotape the Flight of the Hippogriff, but they said no cameras allowed on that ride, and well, I tried, but I hope you understand that, everybody, and I'll be back for another video at Universal Studios. Okay, see you later. Bye. Hi everybody, it's Sean Murray. I just want to let you know they wouldn't allow videotaping in this show, but we went to the Ollivander's wand shop at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios Hollywood, and I wasn't allowed to videotape it, but they did have a cool looking gift shop and a good looking show at that place, and yeah, it was really good. Alright, well, I'll be right back. Okay, love you. I love you, Grandma and Grandpa Aunt Mary. Okay, bye. We're on our way to the studio tour starring Jimmy Fallon. There he is, the studio tour and Jimmy Fallon. Alright, I'll be right back, everybody. Okay, bye.
Shows in Vegas. Your opening, you can go in and sit down and your conditioning, watch a movie, food out. If you're just joining us, welcome to over here.
Okay, you don't mind if I put my... Alright, now wait over there, that's a video camera. I'm here with Marilyn Monroe. Alright, Marilyn Monroe, well, good luck on being a star in Hollywood, and thank you. Thank you, and have a nice day at Universal Studios.
Really, next time I'm
Oh yes, you do that. I'll see you later.
You're probably never going to see these people again in your entire life. All right, now,
Universal Studios Hollywood.
I've introduced myself and our driver, but I have a very special co-host today. You might remember him from Saturday Night Live or The Tonight Show, starring himself.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide.
Kelly.
And the greatest driver.
Ronald.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Kelly.
owes me $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That's right, just a few safety rules to go over, Jimmy. First of all, if you need any guest assistance, if you have a medical emergency, if you drop anything of value off the side of the tram, or you're having any problems with the sound of the video, reach up, grab that red cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I will be back to assist you as soon as it is safe for me to do so. Otherwise, whenever the tram is moving, please stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Please no smoking on board of any kind today, but be prepared, because today's tour will feature sudden tram movements, loud noises, fire effects, and many water effects. So have those cameras ready, but keep your eyes on them so they don't get too wet. And finally, for your safety and the safety of everybody around you, please do not use any selfie sticks on today's tour. You were born with two beautiful selfie sticks. Your arms. But keep them inside. All right, we have officially left the theme park behind, and we're now heading down our moving timeline. So on either side of the tram, you're going to see some posters from just a fraction of the thousands of films that we've made here at Universal over the last 100 years. That's right, we're entering our second century of movie making. We opened on March 15th, 1915, thanks to a man named Carl Laemmle. And when you're taking your pictures today, keep in mind that movies are just a series of still pictures, about 24 frames per second. So if you take enough of them, you have your very own film when you get home. I love the old black and white ones. In fact, take a look at the scene from my favorite, Animal House.
I have the room ready for you and Mrs. Barrington. Thank you, Warren.
Did you hear that? Mrs. Barrington.
Not quite, darling, but soon. Very, very soon. Bella. Yes?
Any bottle of champagne sent to the room at once. And make sure that we are not disturbed for any reason.
All right, played a little trick on you guys. Jimmy Fallon just filmed that inside of stage 20, one of our 28 sound stages we have here on the front lot. It gives you a great idea of what these look like on the inside, but what do they look like on the outside? Take a look on your left. You'll see stage 12. It's currently home to NBC's hit singing competition, The Voice. Alicia Keys and Miley Cyrus are joining the coaching panel this year, and that's coming back in September. But don't worry, we've got a lot of familiar faces returning as well.
Hi everybody, I'm Carson Daly from NBC's The Voice. I want to welcome you to the Universal Front Lot. Our show is filmed on stage 12. It happens to be the largest soundstage on the Universal lot. Take a look.
Back to the future. Jurassic Park.
So all that was filmed right there in stage 12. You're about to see what it looks like completely empty. Boom. But these sound stages coming up are anything but empty. Take a look on your left-hand side. Some of these doors are open, so you might get a sneak peek. In 24 and 25, they have been setting up for the next season of Colony. So take a look. That stars Josh Holloway, who you might remember from the show Lost, and that's returning to USA in 2017. For years, though, 24 and 25 are home to CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, starring Ted Danson and Elizabeth Shue. Now here in 23 and 22, they have been filming Superstore. That stars America Ferrera, whom you might remember from Ugly Betty, as well as Ben Feldman and Mark McKinney. Now, as we're coming up to the stop sign here, I need you all to do me a big favor, okay? I need you to look off to your left-hand side. You're going to notice a bunch of these big white trailers. You may have already seen them already. But just take note of those trailers. And then also that parking structure. Just take a little mental snapshot of that and tuck it away for later. Anyways, TV shows. There's a lot of ways to watch them. Maybe you're streaming things on Hulu nowadays, like The Mindy Project, which films right here in 27.
everybody. I'm Mindy, and welcome to the world-famous Universal Studios Tram Tour. I wish I could join you, but I'm really busy shooting my show, The Mindy Project.
Also, you were banned from the trams because you jumped off when you tried to hug Steven Spielberg.
For your information, he loved it, okay? And Mr. Spielberg, if you're out there, I'm waiting for our close encounter.
Leave the guy alone, he's super busy.
I think we had a connection.
I'm a big fan too, Mr. Spielberg.
Edit this out, please.
Now, Mindy Kaling is no stranger to NBC. For years, she was not only a castmate on the show The Office, but also an Emmy-nominated writer and producer. Now, we are here in Universal Studios Hollywood. It's a hot day, but it's a good day. We are part of NBC Universal. NBC Universal brings you some of your favorite shows on some of your absolute favorite networks. Some of those networks include NBC, E!, Sci-Fi, USA, Bravo, Telemundo, NBC Universo, the Golf Channel, CNBC, MSNBC, the Weather Channel, Oxygen, the Esquire Network, and NBC Sports, just to name a few. Right now, we're headed down Sitcom Alley. A lot of your favorite things have filmed here, like Parenthood, Coach, The Jeffersons, and we're moving right on up still with two new comedies coming out this fall. In Stage 41, they're gearing up for Marlon, starring Marlon Wayans. And on your right-hand side, on the corner in Stage 44, they have been getting ready and filming The Good Place. That stars our pal Ted Danson and Kristen Bell, who you might remember from Veronica Mars and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Now, I mentioned those big red trailers because they're literally everywhere here on the front lot. There's a bunch more right behind Stage 44. Those doors are open as well. Crank your necks, you might get a little glimpse inside. These trailers are the dressing rooms to the stars. So if they're filming on a lot today and you need a place to prep, that's where they do it. If you ever heard an actor say, I'm going to my trailer, those are the trailers. But back in the 50s and the 60s, they didn't have those trailers. They've got the bungalows on your left-hand side. These house some of the greatest contract players Universal has ever had. Contract meaning they worked exclusively here. People like Tony Curtis, Doris Day, Lucille Ball even. And on the corner here in 5170 and 5180, this dual bungalow was the home away from home for Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, a very powerful couple back in the day. But right now, these are used as production offices. So for instance, the folks at Illumination Entertainment are here. They're the ones that brought you hits like The Lorax, Despicable Me, The Minions, and as of about a week or so ago, the #1 film in the box office, The Secret Life of Pets. So be sure to check that out as well. My personal favorite bungalow, though, is coming up on your left right now. It's 5195. You're going to recognize it right away because it's got that big Hannibal poster across the top of it. That is because it is currently home to the De Laurentiis Company. They are the ones that bring you the legend of Dr. Hannibal Lecter to both the small and big screen. Now, before that, though, it belonged to one of my favorite directors of all time, the master of suspense himself, Mr. Alfred Hitchcock.
We all go a little mad sometimes. I can see the
Now, Hitchcock started making those cameos when he was just starting off as a director. He had a very limited budget at the time. He didn't have enough money to hire the extras to go in the scenes for them, so he hopped in and did it himself. Became a little bit of a calling card. He always tried to keep himself towards the beginning of the film, though, as opposed to later on, because he wanted the audience to be paying attention to the story, not looking for him. Another reason why I love that bungalow so much is actually offered to another famous director we all know and love, but he turned it down.
You said you could move into that office. I said, no, I can never be in Hitchcock's office. That should be a shrine, a museum.
Very exciting, just to know that he was there and walk by and know he was in that office.
Hitchcock has influenced every director.
I saw Hitchcock once walking around the commissary.
Hitchcock had his bungalow on the lot. I used to go see Alfred Hitchcock.
I loved working with him. I highly respect him. He really understood fear and terror.
Birds? That was a really scary movie.
It was a scary movie, Meryl. It scared the pants off of me. Now, we are headed into the back lot, you guys. This is where we film the big stuff. I'm talking about exterior scenes on a very large scale. A lot of what you're going to be seeing right here, this is what we call our metro sets, short for metropolitan because they can be really any major metropolitan city. A lot of what you're going to be seeing here are what we call facilities. facades. Facade is a French word that means false front. It's just the fronts and sides of buildings. So as you're looking around, you see these, it's like, oh, these look real. They're not. Likely, if you go through one of these doors, if it's even a real door, there's going to be nothing back there. It's going to be just a little plywood room, or maybe you're going right out into another street right next to you. But speaking of streets, we are just going to hit the road right here real quick.
Roads? Well, we're going, we don't need roads.
Good point, Doc. We don't need roads. Welcome to Hill Valley, everybody. This, of course, is from the great series Back to the Future. Now, on your right-hand side, you are seeing the clock tower right there. It looks a little bit different than it did in the film itself because that clock tower became so recognizable after Back to the Future was released. So a lot of other productions, they put a facade right in front of it, which is there right now. You want to put a facade in front of it because other productions, they come in and they're trying to sell us on the fact that we are somewhere else, not in Hill Valley. So if we're watching a TV show and we're saying, hey, isn't that the clock tower from Back to the Future? It kind of defeats the purpose of watching that show. So that's why they have these facades that you can either put up in front of other ones or you can change them completely. Now you might also remember that in Back to the Future Part 2, there's no lawn here. It's actually a little lake or a pond. Now that was done digitally, added in with CGI. This was also a very famous area because that courthouse is the courthouse from To Kill a Mockingbird, starring Gregory Peck and Robert Duvall. This is also where they had the very first episode of The Twilight Zone. They filmed their pilot episode right here. But most recently, you might recognize it from The Ghost Whisperer, starring Jennifer Love Hewitt. This is Grandview. So if you're taking a look around, you see all of these facades here, and if you remember watching something like one of those shows and it's filmed right here, but it takes place in the winter or another season, you see we've got these trees here. It's somebody's job to pluck all of those leaves off of the trees, and then if they need it to be back to summer or spring, they reattach the leaves. So it's tedious, but it's worth it because you'll never realize when you're watching it on screen that it's a Christmas episode, but actually it took place in July. Who knew? Now, as exciting as Hill Valley is, we're about to go down one of the most filmed locations here on the back lot. This is Brownstone Street. Now, you might recognize this from a few things. If you are one of the adults on board that have seen Gone Girl, this is where Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike shared a sugar kiss. This is Kevin McAllister's uncle's place from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and also from this very funny Jim Carrey movie.
Place the dog! I'm in the shower! Like that. Outside good. Outside good.
Oh, you're done now. Great. beautiful.
It is beautiful, Jim. But we're going to keep hopping cities here. We went from Hill Valley to Brownstone Street, and now we are in the Big Apple, you guys. That's right. Welcome to New York. Now, I'm from Michigan. I've never actually lived in New York City, but I visited there a couple of times. I feel more comfortable turning this over to my co-host because he knows a lot about the city.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to New York. I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Once got mugged over there. An old woman. Tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey! I'm walking here! I'm walking here! Hey, it's cool, guys. I was just, just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
That's right, Jimmy, and a lot of things have made it here. Most recently, the movie Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, starring Andy Samberg and the Lonely Island Gang. They filmed right here. As well as an episode of American Ninja Warrior. They built an obstacle course right here on the street we're driving on right now. That returned to NBC already this summer, so check that out if you haven't already. A lot of other things here as well. Now, we talked about some TV shows, we talked about some movies, but a lot of commercials. A lot of car commercials like to film here on the back lot because you have these city streets without the hassle of what goes on a real city street. But you have these sets that are facades, and you also have a lot of things like CGI. Now, you can mix the two, as people often do, but somebody who knows a lot about CGI is Academy Award-winning director, Mr. Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker.
And a
best. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up on the edge. And Cole literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to Lost Island, you're encountering monsters, creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island.
I'll be right back. I got a map from King Kong 360 3D. I'll be right back, everybody. Bye.
The tour began is still there, and raise your hand if you're missing. Great. Okay. Now hang on to those 3D glasses. You don't have to keep wearing them right now, but have them handy for later on. What we just saw was the largest digital 3D experience in the entire world. That was designed by Peter Jackson himself, along with the folks over at Weta Digital. Weta Digital is a very talented company that specializes in things like CGI. So not only do they work on King Kong the Ride, as well as the movie, but a lot of other movies we've seen as well, like The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Hobbit trilogy, even the Avatar movies. They're so good at what they do. They've won 5 Academy Awards for their hard work. The screens are over 40 feet tall, over 180 feet wide. I should probably take a moment to reflect on the fact that, yes, we did lose the 5th car of our trip. I'm confident that it'll turn up, though. I have a good feeling that we'll find it. Oh, there it is. Oh, no, that doesn't look good at all.
No, it doesn't.
That's all right. I'm sure Colin got everybody out safely. And talk about a great segue. Now we can talk about how that's a picture car. Now, you might be asking yourself, Self, what's a picture car? Well, it is any vehicle that is seen on screen or film. And let me tell you something about these picture cars. Sometimes they become just as famous as the actors who drive them.
Did you feel how the dinosaurs of Skull Island shit on that? That was cool. Yeah, it was really cool.
Everybody get your cameras ready, because on your left-hand side, we're going to pass our picture car gallery. Please stay seated as we do so. First up, we've got Kit from the 2008 series Knight Rider, followed by Magnum Ki-Ai's Red Ferrari.
Wow.
My personal favorite car is Biff's from Back to the Future. It's not as fast as the first 2, but don't poo-poo it. He hates that. Moving right along, we've got the very first eco-friendly cars from the Flintstones.
Oh, yeah,
now these don't have any engines in them. They were attached to trailers and then dragged along. And we can't talk picture cars here at Universal without mentioning the Fast and the Furious, a few cars from that. Whoa. Speaking of, they are in production right now for Furious 8, the next film in the franchise. Charlize Theron and Dame Helen Mirren have joined the cast, so keep your eyes open for that in April of 2017. Now, at the end of that tented area there, we have a couple of vehicles from Jurassic World, the Jeep and the Gyrosphere. The Gyrosphere looks a little different than it did in the movie because the glass is missing. Actually, the glass was never there. Glass is a very reflective surface, so most of the time, filmmakers will avoid using it whenever possible. Otherwise, they risk seeing the reflection of the camera, the crew, anything like that that's not pertinent to what they're shooting at the moment, so they'll just add the glass in digitally later on. Plus, it's got to be really uncomfortable for a couple of actors to be sitting in a little glass ball all day long. But you know what would be really cool? If you could just go to the place itself.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
I love that movie.
Thanks, John. We spare no expense here at Universal Studios either. On either side of the tram, you're going to be seeing some props and set pieces from The Lost World, the second film in the These cages aren't supposed to be empty, but whatever, I'm sure it's fine. I want you all to direct your attention to your left-hand side at this long mobile lab unit that we've got here. It says engine in on the front, and then it's got all this camouflage painting all over it. Now, I bring this up for a couple of reasons. One, it's a really cool-looking set piece that's definitely recognizable from that film. Now, another reason I like to bring it up is because it actually ties into something else that we were talking about. If you remember back over there on the front lot, I had asked you guys to take a little mental snapshot of that parking structure, right? So bring that back to the forefront of your mind. We're going to put 2 and 2 together. That parking structure is where they dangled that mobile lab unit for a scene in that movie. Our greens department dressed it to look like the side of a cliff, and after everything is said and done, you've got one terrifying scene.
Jurassic Park, The Lost World.
scene too is that it's raining. A lot of filmmakers come here to Southern California to shoot stuff, but they must know we don't get a lot of rain here. Most days are like today, beautiful, bright, sunny, and way too hot. So how exactly do you go about filming something that needs rain? I'm no weather expert, I'm just a tour guide, but my good friend Al Roker from the Today Show, he is an expert. Al?
Hi everybody, here's today's forecast for the Universal Backlot. It's going to be sunny and dry at 6 Points, Texas.
I don't know.
Expect snow
Raining like heck
on New York Street, and we've got a high chance of fog and precipitation for Skull Island, Amity Island, and Isla Nublar.
Hey, Andy, I
forecast for today. Now here's a look at what's going on.
All right, well, that's us in old Mexico. He's predicting a flash flood. Maybe he's right. I mean, it is raining after all. If you take a look up, you'll notice those overhead sprinklers. They're shooting water straight up into the air so that it then falls back down to earth naturally to look like real rain. Uh-oh.
Something's gonna happen.
Folks, I am so sorry. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the tour, but if you're sitting in the blue seat, you might get wet. Hey, Ronald, what color is your seat? Black? Mine too. All right, we're going to make our way through old Mexico here. You might recognize some of these sets from movies like The Three Amigos, starring Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, and Martin Short. Or maybe Nacho Libre with Jack Black. Or Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. They used old Mexico to become Tortuga and Port Royal. But enough about that. I sure hope you brought your passports with you today, because we're leaving old Mexico behind and we are headed straight into the old West. Welcome to 6 Points, Texas, y'all. Now these are some of the oldest sets we have here on the back lot. Take a look around at these facades. We're going to be talking about these in a moment, but before we do, I must warn you that a lot of crazy stuff happens on these streets when people mosey down them.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us, Jimmy Fallon.
Well, I ain't going anywhere, Jimmy Fallon.
Now look here. Nice folks in this tram don't want no trouble. They just want to check out 6 Points, one of the oldest sets on the Universal lot.
I hear this is where John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart shot a few of their westerns.
That's right. That's where I aim to shoot you.
Looks like we got ourselves a Mexican standoff. Lucky shot.
Now what say you mount up and get out of town when the getting's good?
All right. I'll see you again, Fallon.
Oh, you can count on it. Again.
This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
We just have to talk it out, that's all.
Just talk it out, nothing a little communication can't fix. So take a look around. Notice a lot of things on these Western sets. The brick, for instance, looks like real brick. Well, it is not brick at all. It is actually just foam rubber and fiberglass. Now, the reason it's just foam rubber and fiberglass is because A, it's much safer to film with in terms of a lot of those Western films. You see cowboys always being thrown against brick walls and things of that nature. And it's much easier to build as well. A lot of things that are built here on the back lot, they're not necessarily built to last. Something that's just temporary for filming, although some of them do end up standing for decades and decades. Now, it's a really hot day out, right? How many people wish they could just go swimming right now? I know I do. If I were to go swimming, I would want to do it right here in this underwater tank. So it's coming up as we round this corner on your left-hand side. It's this big beige bowl, if you will. It's got that staircase going up top with the railing around it. That's our underwater tank. I like to call it the Hank Tank. And the reason I like to call it the Hank Tank is because Tom Hanks filmed a lot of great movies inside of there. So for instance, if you've ever seen the movie Dragnet, you might recognize it. That is where they filmed the scene where Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks are battling that giant snake. You have those hatches on outside. That's where the crew, the director, the camera, they stay nice and dry and get all the shots that they need. Now, in addition to that, the area around the underwater tank was made to look like the surface of the moon in Apollo 13.
1985, that's when I was born.
So So now we've seen a lot of examples of facades. We saw them on the back lot in the Metro sets. We saw them right over here on the Western sets. And then we've got this underwater tank here as well. So you don't actually have to have a quote-unquote set to film somewhere, right? You can film exactly where we are right now. If you take a look at this little patch of grass right here, that's Central Park, everybody. I know, it's a little underwhelming, right? Just kidding. It's Central Park, or Griffith Park, or Gorky Park in Moscow, whatever park the filmmakers needed to be. So let me explain how that works. We got some benches over there already. You can add in some picnic tables, different benches, anything like that that you need in your park for the production. You have the actors film their scenes there. You make sure that they're dressed in the appropriate wardrobe, and you shoot the scene right here. And it's all about camera angles, so as long as it's angled properly and you're not seeing the Western sets in the background, or the underwater tank, or the Metro sets that are right behind us, as long as the camera doesn't see it, the audience is going to be none the wiser. A lot of times what they would do is they'll have an establishing shot before they'll show us the scene that was filmed on this patch of grass. Now, an establishing shot is, for instance, if you ever watched a movie or a television show, say it takes place in New York City, you have a helicopter filming overhead Central Park, so you're looking down on it. That lets us know, hey, you guys, this next scene is going to take place in Central Park. We're in New York City. And then they'll immediately cut to a scene that was filmed here on this grass. So that overhead shot was the establishing shot, and then our minds, we put two and two together and say, all right, we got to believe now that that grass is Central Park. Now, it's not just that can go into it. There's so many things in terms of the production design that are crucial in terms of letting the audience know where we are, when we are. So we will go all around the Metro sets, for instance. They filmed a whole bunch of stuff there in these Western sets. They're very specific in terms of the time period. Now, it's the job of the production designer and the art designer to make sure that everything is going to be coherent throughout the film, that everything makes sense. And sometimes there's a lot of films that take place in a location that doesn't exist in the real world. Everything has to be created from scratch. So that is the art direction. And it's very interesting to see all the stuff that they can do. Now, Bedrock is not a place that exists, but we believe it because of the great work that the designers do in pre-production. Those pyramids are not real, but that Sphinx is. So you can mix practical sets as well as the CGI.
The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Ancient Rome, none of that is real at all. All of that is CGI, except for the actors that are sitting in front of a green screen. Now, not just the scene design, but the costume design as well. So take a look at this still from Shakespeare in Love. That was an Academy Award-winning film here, by the way. Now we see those very intricate costumes. Now that's all part of the pre-production as well. So you have a lot of different elements that go into creating a production. There's 3 stages. You have pre-production. That includes all the costume designs, the set designs, scouting the locations if you're going to go actually film somewhere instead of on a backlot or a sound stage. It even includes casting the actors, so holding auditions, having them perform in front of producers, and then finally signing the contracts and making sure everything's good to go. And then you have production, which is the second phase. That's the filming. So in a few minutes when we're passed over here, we're going to be seeing a little bit of the filming today for Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. So you're going to see some of what production looks like in just a few minutes. And then after that, you've got post-production. Post-production is where everything is kind of winding down. You're either, tearing down the locations that you use on the sets, on the backlot or sound stages, or you're packing up and leaving the location you were filming on, and that's when they start doing all the editing. And when you have all of that coming together, that's when you have these incredible scenes where you get to see all of the elements going at once. really interesting coming up here in just a few moments. First of all, if there's anything on the floor of the tram that you would prefer not getting wet, this is a great time to pick those things up and set them on your laps, because we're going to be passing through the Red Sea here. You're going to take a look off to your left-hand side. You're going to see something that's called a model scale miniature. It's one of the oldest tricks in the Hollywood book. Peter Jackson used this in King Kong in addition to CGI. Now, I want to let you know this ahead of time, because as soon as we are out of the Red Sea here, we're starting to go into that quiet zone for Criminal Minds where I have to go off of the mic. So I want to set you guys up, let you know what you're about to see. If you line up your cameras the right way on your left, you're going to see something very similar to what Peter Jackson saw. So I'm going to take off from here. When I am clear to get back on the mic, I will be rejoining you. But take a look around, enjoy what you see. Who knows who you might see. I'll see you on the other side.
I'll be right back. Good buddy.
Now that we're back inside a soundstage, I can rejoin you here. So that was some production for Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. I'm just going to go ahead and ignore that. So you saw all the production equipment. Everybody, we are experiencing an earthquake. Just remain calm, and we will probably, definitely, hopefully get out of here.
Uh-oh, fire!
I know, I saw that.
Where's an earthquake? A humongous earthquake. Whoa. That's a subway train. A lot of blood. Oh no, what?
Ladies and gentlemen, give yourselves a big round of applause. We just survived an earthquake, the big one. Now when I say big one, I do mean it. That measures an 8.3 on the Richter scale. Now if you're a fan of the show Bone, starring Jacob Boreanaz and Emily Deschanel, you might actually recognize that from an episode that they filmed right there. And not only that, they even used some of those exact effects you and I just saw.
What's going on?
look, we're on Amity Island.
With all that water, I wish that we would have gotten a little more wet. Tell you what, let's go to the beach. Let's go to Amity Island. Perhaps you've heard of it.
Jaws. Yeah,
Now, one problem they had one time was a little shark thing, but not anymore. They caught the guy, as you can see. Plus, my very good friend George, he is in the Amity Police Force. He's been making sure the harbor is safe for us and that we're not going to be in any danger. There he is. Hey, George.
George, look out.
George, buddy. George, you and I are having dinner tonight, right? George?
Oh, no. I want to be prepared. I think this is going to get wet.
I leave table for one. I get it. All right. All right, everybody, just stay seated. We're going to move past the dock. Now, they've attached some bait to that yellow barrel over there. Oh, good. He's taking the whole pier. That's probably not a good sign.
Oh, no. He's coming. Whoa.
Feel the heat.
Jaws is coming.
Anybody else want some s'mores?
Ooh, that's hot. Roy, look out. There's Jaws. Whoa. That was Jaws right there. Jaws just hit the guy in front.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just met Bruce. Now, we all know what kind of shark Bruce is, right? Plastic.
Oh,
and it is from Finding Nemo. Well, sort of. They named Bruce from Finding Nemo after this Bruce from Jaws. Now, Bruce is actually Steven Spielberg's attorney. But let me tell you something about that shark. He's a diva. He worked perfectly fine when they tested him in fresh water, but then on the very first day of filming, they put him in the Atlantic Ocean, and then he sank right to the bottom. This kind of stuff kept happening with Bruce so much that the cast and the crew nicknamed the production Flaws.
That's a much of a live shark. The shark is much better.
Steven Spielberg.
Wherever you were on time,
Okay, I'll get to it. Hold on.
we're always
We're almost done with the tour.
The shark is not working. Repeat, the shark is not working.
Just wait.
I'll get to it later.
The shark will develop out for a while there, and it needs to fall slightly over shark a lot.
First a flood, then an earthquake, then a shark attack. Let's just calm it down, take around some neighborhoods where nothing bad could possibly happen. Starting on your left, that street down there is Elm Street. No relation to the nightmare, thank goodness. That yellow house that you see with the green roof, that's Boo Radley's house from To Kill a Mockingbird. We saw the courthouse that Gregory Peck worked in that film earlier on today, the tour. And on your right-hand side, we've got our chicken ranch. Now, this is interesting because this is what we call a practical set. What that means is you can film inside. It's got a full interior and upstairs and a downstairs, unlike a facade that's just the fronts and the sides. Now, you might recognize the Chicken Ranch from that Dolly Parton movie, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. And on the other side, you're going to see a facade that was actually used in the TV show About a Boy, starring Minnie Driver. It gives you a very clear idea as to what these two different set pieces look like. Practical sets are great for producers because they can film in there instead of going to a soundstage. You gotta be kidding me. Ugh. Guys, I'm so sorry. There's a car on your left coming up that's not supposed to be here. I have to call it into security. Hang on.
This is security. What's going on, Studio Tour?
Yeah, we just left the Chicken Ranch. There's a black 1970 Dodge Charger. There's no plates. It's not an authorized spot. I'm in the middle of a tour, kind of, you know.
Tour. I'll send someone down to check it out ASAP.
ASAP. You know, he says that. It's probably going to take him forever to get back to us.
Studio Tour. Looks like we might have an issue.
That was fast.
I'm patching you into Agent Novak from the FBI.
FBI?
I'm sorry to interrupt your fun, but we've got video surveillance on that Charger you all saw. We ran it through the system, and the driver has been positively identified as Dominic Toretto. I've been tracking this guy for a while. He's a hardened criminal. He's likely armed, and he is definitely dangerous. My men and I are on our way to apprehend him right now. If you see him...
Be a hero?
Don't be a hero. Don't engage him. Just keep a safe distance and report any further sightings to studio security immediately. We'll handle it from there.
Novak, whatever you say. Now, what were we talking about? Right, homes and stuff. Now, the Chicken Ranch, more or less, is a pretty normal-looking home, but sometimes a script calls for something that is way more imaginative.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Got it, sweet!
Grinch Stole Christmas, some of the exterior sets of Whoville. This was the largest production to ever film here on the Universal lot. They used 11 of the 28 sound stages we got on the front lot. Huge portions of the back lot, so big in fact, it took about 9 football fields worth of fake snow to cover everything, and about 2,000 candy canes. That's a lot of cavities, you guys. It's so many cavities. Now, as bad as the Grinch was, I gotta say, here on the back lot, those Who's had an even worse neighbor, Norman Bates.
I remember this.
Now, what you're looking at here are two of the most famous sets still standing in Hollywood. You got the Bates Motel, and you got the Psycho House up there on the top of the hill. Now, Psycho is, of course, famous for that shower scene. Uh-oh. Who's that? Oh, my gosh. You guys, that's Norman Bates. He really gives me the creeps. I can't really put my finger on it, but something about him just really rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, no.
That's it. That's the thing right there. Okay, you guys, he hasn't noticed us yet, so just do not make eye contact. Oh, man. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Let's check out the Bates Motel, shall we?
Let's get out of here.
Norman looks like he's about to go a little mad. But then again, we all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you? So as I was saying, Psycho is famous for that shower scene. The blood in the film was chocolate syrup. The color didn't matter since it was a black and white movie, and the syrup had the right consistency to look like blood on camera. And that scene has about 70 different camera cuts, none of which do you ever see the knife touching Janet Leigh's skin. But it's still very terrifying. But is it as terrifying as this?
War of the Worlds.
I present the spectacular crash site from Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. Now looking around here, you might notice that plane, and you might ask yourself, so, is that a real plane? Yes, it is. As an actual 747, purchased for about $60,000 from a junkyard, but it cost over $200,000 to ship it here. That's always how they get you, folks. It's always the shipping.
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around the vision that Steven had.
When we first began to sit down and talk about the war of the world, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep pressing me. Listen, close your eyes, okay? Got them closed? Robbie, get in. Come on, boys. Get in.
Well,
now, some of you might know that this was actually a radio play a long time ago. It was very terrifying to the people who...
This might be more serious than I thought.
Wait, what?
What just happened?
Whoa,
This is a secure line.
What's going on? Hello?
I'll tell you who I am, boy. I'm the reason bad guys use a nightlight. I'm the reason the boogeyman begs his mama to look under his bed. And I'm the reason you just lost control of this whole operation. My name is Special Agent Luke Hobbs of the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service. And as of 16.9 seconds ago, I'm the man in charge.
The hell you are.
Let me clue you in on 2 things, sweet cheeks. One, there's a high-value witness from the Federal Protection Program aboard your vehicle. And 2, an international crime syndicate led by Owen Shaw is honing in on this vehicle to take that witness out. Shaw's as ruthless as they come, and he'll stop at nothing to eliminate his target. Every living soul on this vehicle is in serious danger. Other than that, enjoy the ride.
This is not your jurisdiction.
It is now, stink pickle.
I'm so tired of you state guys stepping in just whenever you feel like.
Mute him.
That's a great idea. Bye.
That's better. We're moving your vehicle to a safe location until we have the situation under control. Until then, I want everybody to stay calm. Enjoy the ride. I'm taking care of business. Hobbs out.
All right, well, that Novak guy won't give up. I muted him, but he just sent me something over here, some files from the FBI. I guess we should just take a look.
This is Agent Novak with an FBI alert about individuals who are not authorized to be involved in the witness protection operation I'm heading up with my FBI team. Be on alert for Dominic Toretto, an ex-convict who has broken laws throughout the U.S. and around the world. Despite his checkered past, Toretto and his crew were recruited by Agent Luke Hobbs to assist U.S. diplomatic security missions and was granted a pardon for the crimes he committed. Is a street racer and mechanic on Dom's crew. She's particularly vicious when protecting Dom. Her ordeals have impaired her memory, but she always remembers two things. She's got Dom's back, and he has hers. Another valued member of Dom's crew. He's an ex-con and a street racer who's into fast cars and beautiful women. Not necessarily in that order. Agent Hobbs is a tough and ruthless bounty hunter and special agent with the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service. You should ignore him. Hobbs has joined forces with Dom's crew to track down the criminal mastermind, Owen Shaw. You should be most on your guard against is Owen Shaw, a vicious and unpredictable criminal mastermind. He was a major in British Special Ops before embarking on a series of ruthless international crime heists.
That looked pretty intense, you guys. I hope everybody was paying attention. So we got a lot of people to look out for. It was Toretto, Hobbs, Letty, Roman Pierce, but most importantly, Owen Shaw. Now, I don't understand why he would have sent that to us, because didn't Novak say earlier that if we see anything, he doesn't want us to be a hero? So I'm a little confused, but you know what? He's silly. Forget all that. I want to be a hero. I really do. I want to be like these guys.
I do know that we're brothers. I know that we're free. As long as we live, we must stay true to ourselves. We can have a revolution.
We ain't gonna beat around the bush with you. You going blind. The doctor's saying nothing they can do, so we gotta do it ourselves.
Alright, looks like we're going to Fast and Furious Supercharged, but I can't video it. I'll be right back, everybody. Bye.